Hello and welcome back to another episode. Today we're gonna play Bendy and the Dark Revival. But wait, why are we playing this again? Didn't we already finish this a while ago? Well, there actually has been a new update, as you can see along the options you can do. We could select archives now, which is basically like it was in chapter 5 of the original Bendy and the Ink Machine. It shows off characters, gives them a little brief description, old designs, but we're gonna hop right into these archives because there's probably gonna be a lot to read. So this video is probably gonna be a more chill video. No screaming. Oh, I don't think. Oh, this is how we exit. That's so cool. Okay, here we are, the archives. Okay, the archives. Welcome to the archives. Bendy and the Dark Revival is filled with numerous characters that each had a critical role to play in the progression of the game. Here in the archives, you will learn a little bit more about them in a close-up and personal way. Feel free to explore. Okay, this place looks really cool. Let's go to Bendy. You just look at him. It's so silent here. You just look at him and we get a description instead of having there used to be stuff on the side. Bendy. The iconic imp was redesigned for Bendy and the Dark Revival to stand out a bit more from his traditional cartoon appearance by giving him a suit of clothes. He posed some mirror challenges, specifically creating a face that supported classic Bendy era smile, but still managing to be a heartwarming in the right conditions. He is a fan favorite to his design and has had to be just right. During production, we originally envisioned Bendy to talk with a series of cute squeaks to contrast the dark, low voice of the Ink Demon. This turned out to be very distracting, and the idea was scrapped pretty early on. So this is really neat. Let's go up to Wilson, cartoon. Wilson was a difficult character to balance. At first, the players were purposely led to believe that he is a one-note character, obviously evil with an over-the-top villain personality. But as the story progresses, we see other sides to the character, and the player becomes muddled with who this man really is. In one draft, Wilson was written as a servant of Nation Arch Jr., as a separate character at the time. But the story made far more sense when the two characters became one, eliminating a lot of needless character complexion. Audrey, cartoon, obviously. Audrey is a kind-hearted rogue with courage, determination, Undertale. Sorry, I had to do that. Some flaws and a deep, dark past. To make our story work, we needed a newcomer to the cartoon studio world, and Audrey was the perfect fresh eye to help with the experience of the adventure. From day one of the production, we knew that if people didn't connect with Audrey by the end of the game itself wouldn't be successful. Fortunately, she turned out to be a quite memorable and indeed stands out from the other members of the cast. I think I read that wrong. Whatever. So, we're gonna go this way. There's a lot of guys here. They're all in cases. Okay, let's go to the keepers. The keepers. Wilson's deadly guard scientists. They aren't perfect, but keepers will get the job done. No matter the cost, they are responsible for pressing the Ink Demon inside a smaller form, keeping his power sealed away. Until Audrey came along and unknowingly changed the situation, the keepers were visually designed to reflect the dangers and the evils of the ink machine itself. Faceless, being made of gears and wires, with no sense of mortality, ordered around like cattle, a creation living without purpose. That is so cool that like they describe it like these are really good descriptions. Like I like these characters, and I think it's really neat that we get a change up from Henry, because Henry's kind of just the unexpected character. He changes a little bit through the story, but Audrey is like shows real character growth and development. So we got the Butcher Gang here. They're all called the Butcher Gang, I guess. Okay, whatever. Barley, Charlie, and Edgar. The three original members of the Butcher Gang were formed from the Ink Machine, deconstructed by Alice Angel for body parts and bonded together to stay alive, sneaking attacks on their prey. In Dark Revival, we need an artificial fourth member of the gang, Carly, the Ghost Girl. Although when you begin to examine her closely, Carly appears to only be a shell with perhaps something inside. Yeah, she's freaking really creepy. Like it kind of feels like a shellless husk, just with glowing eyes. Kind of like the Keepers in a way. It's interesting. It really is. Okay, here we go. Heidi. It is believed that Heidi has spent more time in the pit at prison cell set up by Wilson and the Keepers. It is unclear why, but most likely she was able to access places she shouldn't have. The experience in the pit changed her, as it does many, reverting to her to a childlike state, longing for happiness once again. She was really childish. I wonder what she would be like before the Ink Demon, or before the pit happened. Porter. As the cycle was held in place, and with the influence of the Ink Demon at bay, the cartoon world was able to grow and advance, creating such characters as Porter, a lost one who claimed a new identity as an explorer. Porter was written with acknowledgement that Dark Revival would feature a far more serious tone than the first game, Bendy and the Ink Machine. He has a lighthearted, innocent, would help the player feel some warmth in this inky world of sorrow. Yeah, I have a feeling like when they talk about that, Bendy and the Dark Revival is a far darker game, and it had me confused at times. The only thing the ending was kind of interesting. I don't know if I enjoyed it or liked it. It was kind of that, like, you're like expecting it to be like really hyped up for this ending, and then it just kind of lets you down. Like, I'm not saying the ending's bad. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I expected something different, if you know what I mean. It's still a really good ending. Samuel Lawrence. We barely get to see any Samuel Lawrence. He only pops up, like, 2 times. I think only in Chapter 5. Or he might in Chapter 4. I don't remember. I haven't played it in a while, so. Samuel Lawrence. The famous musical composer of the studio. Samuel Lawrence was originally had a slightly larger role in Bendy and the Dark Revival. I had a feeling he would have. I thought he would have showed up like tons, but he didn't really show up at all. And also, how did he get his mask back from, like, didn't you knock it off in Bendy and the Ink Machine? Where did he get that back? He ultimately sidelined in favor of telling a more coherent storyline. Although it is interesting to note that Samuel Lawrence appeared to have mastered the flow ability in Bendy and the Ink Machine long before Porter and Audrey could wield it. So that it kind of explains, like, why he could move. I always had this theory that the reason Henry got knocked out was that he opened up the closet, which had the dustpan in the first place. I had a feeling Samuel Lawrence would have knocked him out anyways. Oh, here we go. We got Alice Angel. Okay. Alice Angel. This is the bad one, by the way, if you couldn't tell. The self-appointed queen of the studio. Alice Angel is one of the most memorable forces in the Bendy world. Forever lost in a tide of insanity, she is an absolute delight to write for as a character. I could tell. I actually don't mind Alice, the bad Alice Angel's character. It's like, it's twisted, but this world is kind of twisted that you think, like, these people are probably going to go insane for staying in this place as long as they have. Because most of the cartoon characters that represent the cartoons and aren't searchers, and maybe some of the lost ones, they still have human souls in them, and they still have feelings. An angel with many layers. Time will only tell if this inky temptress will ever reappear. I wonder if there's going to be a third game. I'm really hyped for that. Lord Amok, ruler of the sewer cult. That's a really weird cult. Lord Amok illustrates how the world of the ink has continued to develop in different societies, just like normal life. So there's Wilson with his far more complex safe house, and there's Lord Amok, who kind of is in the place with the Ink Demon, I guess. Because the sewer had Ink Demon. I don't know. Maybe he was just following Audrey. Deep within the darkest places. Although he was weak in a fight, his name will simply never die. King Widow. I didn't even know this, the spider had a name. Ink Widows have begun to infest where the light grows darkest. Their king, the biggest and the most feared, will only emerge from his nest when its young are threatened. Weren't we killing all of them? Whatever. And then here we go. We got the final boss, Ship-Ahoy Dudley, the demented inventation of Wilson, created to serve the dual purpose of dethroning the Ink Demon in the cartoon world and also upstaging Joey Drew in the eyes of Wilson's father, Nathan Arch. Neither of these happened. Ship-Ahoy Dudley is a mysterious sailor with his own eerie grin, similar to that of Bendy, along with his sidekick, Kraken the Crab. It is known that what kind of cartoons adventures they would have together. Oh, that's the crab. Oh, that's the crab. I didn't even notice that crab before. They looked like two different things. This looks like a grotesque monster. This looks like a kid's cartoon character. I guess that's kind of what Bendy was meant to be. It's kind of neat to see color in Bendy in the Bendy universe, or whatever you want to call it. Lurker. The Lurker, or Steve as he became to be known, was originally created as a brute-type enemy that would free roam the way lost ones do, but ultimately felt unnecessary as the random ink demon encounters already fulfilled the role of putting the player in an edge while exploring previous traversed locations. In the end, the Lurker was found a much better calling as an unlikely ally, effectively expanding him into more than just a typical enemy. He just was there for food, and he was also trapped by Wilson, like pretty much everything was in Bendy and the Dark Revival. Did I read the machine off? Let's see. Ink machine. This is the original ink machine, or it's the one in the back. Because we didn't really get to have too much of a close-up with the ink machine, other than like the final fight with Ship Ahoy Dudley. The ink machine, designed by Thomas Connor of the Gent Corporation, stolen by Joey Drew, revealed by Archgate, and once again reclaimed by Gent. The ink machine's next adventure is a mystery. So I think there will be another game. Here we go. We got both ink demons, the beast one and just the normal one. I hope there's another one. We haven't even got to see the face of Thomas Connor yet. I would really like to see some more of the characters' human forms, because we got to see Henry, which was really interesting. Okay, so we got the Ink Demon. As the world of Dark Revival became more complex and established, we realized that the Ink Demon's design needed a complete rethink to match our new tone. It does make sense. They have such a huge graphic overhaul from the first game to the second. It looks so much better. Like, I honestly really think this is a huge improvement. The lighting, everything. It feels a little more 1980-ish. I don't know, 1990-ish, whatever you want to call it. Just like back in the past when these cartoons were made. Previous versions of his appearance looked absolutely silly when we planned it in the world alongside the other characters. I guess so. If you've ever seen Alpha Bendy, yeah, that's Alpha Bendy. That one's pretty silly. It's pretty... I'd like to see the Alpha Ink Demon for Bendy and the Dark Revival. That would be amazing. I wonder if we'll see that in here. We haven't looked through everything yet. No amount of creepy music or screen effects could conceal how out of place he looked. The Ink Demon needed to look different than everything else in the world and show a natural progression of the Ink Demon's evolution as Wilson held the cycle in place. It's really weird how the cycle works. I always get confused with the lore of these games. It's really confusing. If I don't have an explanation for the lore, I just feel like really confused, and making up my own theories, sometimes they usually have plot holes. Beast Bendy. Returning to the climax of Dark Revival, Beast Bendy also was revised with the mindset of making him more powerful and beast-like. Traditionally, in most of our horror games, they tend to build to a point where the main villain becomes a final form monster as a final boss, and it's practically a trope. Our idea: what if you got to play as the final form instead? That was such a cool idea. I really enjoyed like the final end where you got to play as Beast Bendy. Here we go. Joey Drew memory, or cartoon, whatever you want to call him. The man, the legend, the memory. Creating this version of Joey Drew was both an exciting and daunting process. I never thought I'd see the real Joey Drew. It's amazing how they brought like so many of these characters that we haven't even seen, and they brought them to life. It's like really cool. It was clear from the start that this Joey would be different from the one from the original Bendy and the Ink Machine game. They did show him off in there, his human form at least. This was a man with all the guilt from a past life, but without the experience to fully understand it. The real Joey Drew made many mistakes, but ultimately learned from them. This doesn't absolve him from his sins, but at the end of his life, he was able to correct some of them and help fight the darkness he created. Also, making Audrey was probably one of the best decisions he made. Breaking the cycle and saving. I don't even know if there's room for a third game because, you know, Audrey's broken the cycle now. What is there to do? Betty, a faithful maid, among other things, to Wilson. Betty was an important character to the story of Dark Revival. I don't 100% think so. As a failed experiment and someone revivally new to the cartoon studio, she was able to give off a somewhat different point of view in the states of the world. We have proposed, left it unclear if Betty was on Wilson's plot to harvest Audrey or if she is just a bystander. Behind her mask, there are still answers to be found. Yeah, she wasn't a really fleshed out character. I don't think she was a super important character to the game anyways. Let's go through the last cartoon stuff before we go through anything else. Tom. Tom is Allison's silent protector and the only Boris clone involved in the main story. Where is Boris the Wolf? Rumor has it that during the events of the game, Boris is expecting a dark survival story of his own. I find that confusing because who is the Boris, the beast kind of monstrous Boris that Henry fought against? Because we know this comes after Bendy and the Ink Machine. So is it a new Boris that's in Bendy and Boris in the Dark Survival? Because it's obviously hinting to Boris in the Dark Survival with the other Boris. I might play that game on this channel, depends. If you guys want to see it, yeah, you can like. Allison, returning from another victory over the Ink Demon. Alice is always the voice of reason, a beacon of hope. Allison's design was carefully upgraded from the previous Bendy and the Ink Machine game to maintain her personality, but with more fiddly, whatever. Close enough. The purpose of meeting Alice so early in the campaign was to introduce the player to a familiar face after the main introduction. At the start, Alice was able to serve as the motivating force for Audrey until the true plot kicked in later. I guess that makes sense. Cycle breakers. I didn't think these two were cycle breakers. I guess they kind of helped Henry. Henry Stein, or Steen, whatever. I'm not good with last names, guys. They're usually pretty complicated. I'm not good with names in the first place. The original cycle breaker. Henry Steen is the ghost of a man who lost his purpose years ago. Once fueled with finding a way to escape the tortures of the Ink Demon and finding his way home to his wife. So he does have a wife. I didn't even know that. Henry is now left with the cold reality of a recreation of the person he thought he was. Saved as a special surprise for the fans of Bendy and the Ink Machine game, Henry was strictly omitted from all public discussions of the character during the entire production, which spanned several years, but Henry returned with a very satisfying face reveal. I'm not doing a face reveal. I did like the getting to see Henry's face. It was amazing. I was so glad we got to see his face because that was one of the biggest mysteries, and that was one of the biggest things I wanted to see from this game. I really can't wait. If there is a third installment, I can't wait for that to come out. I will play it on this channel. I promise you guys. And here we are into the real life things. Here we go. The Wilson. Haunted by the impossible shadow of Nathan Arch. This is more of the human Wilson. Wilson sought to achieve something that would make his father proud. By luck, he stumbled upon the Ink Machine and was able to become the cartoon world's new master. Holding the cycle in place, he continued his experiments that would not fully be realized until the Ink Demon was purged. However, unnaturally entering and from the Ink realm has taken a toll on Wilson's physical being, slowly robbing him of his health. Audrey, the unknowing daughter of an animation pioneer. Audrey has blocked out the memories of her past after losing her father, but his role in her life was not over. A talented animator and an artist, her skills landed her a job at Archgate. Was it fate that led her to reunite with Joey Drew's machine, the machine of her birth, or was it planned? So yeah, Audrey is from the machine. So the big question I had with this is it's a really confusing thing. So are the human versions from the real world, are they separate from the cartoon? Or is there two separate entities for Henry, I guess we could say? Body was left there and his soul kind of got duplicated and forced into this inky realm that they call it. And it kind of makes sense. I guess it makes sense with Audrey because she was born there, so she wouldn't have a human to take her place because she was kind of belongs to the ink realm. She was born there. How does that work? Would there be a human version and an ink version or a cartoon version? I'm just curious. I wonder if we'll find out if there's a third game. Nathan Arch Sr. Nathan Arch was everything Joey Drew wasn't. He worked hard, built up from nothing, and never compromised his integrity. Joey had big dreams, but Nathan accomplished his own dreams. He and his wife Tessa raised a son with as much love and care as they could, despite Nathan's career pressures. Sadly, his son did not share Nathan's natural talent for business and enterprise. That's Wilson, of course. I wonder if there's anything left. And here we got the original posters from Bendy Ink Machine. The only thing I'm kind of sad that these archives didn't have like the music. Oh, this is like the artist rest too. It looks like the artist rest. But I'm sad this doesn't have the music. It's so silent. The original game had this really nice tune to accompany you while you looked around. Harold. Oh. Cool fish. Harold, too much dry air, not enough fish food. No, it's Harold from from Wilson's estate, the one that we were gonna eat and turn into the sleeping potion powder stuff. He's dead. He was my favorite character. Damn, dude. I think that's everything. If you ever update, please add music. Please add music. That's all I'm gonna ask. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe and turn those notifications on so you never miss a new video. And if you guys want to see me play Boris in the Dark Revival, make sure to leave a comment down saying you want me to play it. I'll see you guys in the next video.